All right, we're hot. Good. For those people watching the video later, this may be a tad boring. For those people that are watching during, much more fun because you get to interact and all that stuff and ask questions. So hit the alert bell so that you get notified when I go on. Okay. I have 2 toolkits to pack up for Gaston, I don't know, and Jeff. So anyway, hang on a second. I'll get that figured. Let me bring you up here on the phone so I can see comments while I'm working. But we need to have this 272 to finalize here tonight. I think we can get a pop on this thing. Willing to bet we can get a pop on this thing. Gaston, yeah, Gaston. He's the one that. Anyway, who's here? Tom, Steve, James, good. Craig's here, good. Larry, hello. Whoa, there's a lot of people here. Hang on a second. Landan Henry, howdy. Mike Battow's here. Paul McMahon, P.A. Dan. Geez, everybody's showing up. This is great. Again, I'm trying to bring you up here. That way I can read comments in real time. Because, yeah, anyway. 8 people here. Hey, Jeff. Jeff, I'm going to pack. You know what? Since you're here, I might as well pack up your stuff first. Let's just do that, okay, and get that out of the way. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. So Jeff, you're gonna get a main kit. So 4 rods, 2 sleeves, nuts, washers, and handles is what you get. And nothing more. I'm kidding. Okay. James Peterson, you're here for a while? Okay. Will's Garage, you're new. Welcome. Will G from the forum. Okay. So, just so for the new people, I don't have things prepared. You know, I don't have things that are, it's not a cooking show, you know. So, things go wrong, I drop stuff, you know, all that can happen. Stanley Brand, hello. Andrew's here, my cousin. I think Kenny was thinking about showing up tonight, but A, we got a lot of ice, and B, I don't think he had the parts that he needed to have. So Jeff, this is for you. You're going to want to deburr this just a little bit more. I'm just hitting this quick. These should just drop through. An omelet? No. I have to ask my wife for that. And unfortunately, she is out for the evening, which is bound to wreck everybody's evening. Oh well. Okay. Nuts, washers, 2 handles. Okay, so let's put this. Okay, this kit, Paul. It's better if I send you the email. But this kit that Jeff is getting is $170 shipped to the lower 48. International shipping is kind of a pain in the neck. But you get 4 rods. One's a flywheel side rod, does most of the flywheel side stuff. Does Matt really have... No. You put all the ampersands in there because of spam bots. Spam bots can't find it. Then at least they have a harder time finding my email. It's 1 ampersand. Matty 05, the O in 05 is actually a letter O instead of a 0. Again, Jeff, you really want to clean and deburr these even better than I'm doing. You want to do a dry run before you actually try this. So, like, make sure these pieces fit on the crank and whatever before you even attempt to put the crank in the case and goop things up and all that other stuff. So, shout out to my... Hey, Nikki. Shout out to my cousin Andy's YouTube channel. Andy does basically vintage movie reviews. Among other random things. So if anybody's interested, you can check out my cousin Andy. I'm sure he would appreciate a subscribe. Okay. So this should slide through. If it doesn't, it means it's hanging on something. No, Jeff didn't want the sleeve and the rod and the 576. So yeah, so this kit for a flywheel side rod and 3 clutch rods, M10, M12, and M14 is $170 shipped to the lower 48. If you want the additional 880 sleeve, that's another $30. 242 rod, $30. 576 rod, $30. You get the idea. So a full kit of basically everything that I have is $290, but for most people only need the main kit. This does like 90% of the relevant saws. So that slides through perfect. That's probably hanging a little something. So Jeff, this is your kit here. What do I use to split the cases? I will show you. Remind me of that in just a minute, okay? I just want to put all this stuff in for Jeff. And don't forget, Jeff, you've got a sticker too. Oh, before I forget, let me put one in for Dan. Okay. Don't want to forget. So put a sticker in there. I use the aftermarket one, but the OEM one is not that much more expensive, if at all, and supposedly considerably more robust. I made my case splitter more robust by modifying it, but so Jeffrey, this is for you. I package it up like this, and then I throw it. This is kind of like an older bag. I love reusing these bags, so please reuse these bags. This is like one of the most inexpensive and yet reliable shipping options I have found. These Postal Service flat rate envelopes are just brilliant. Okay, Jeff, that's for you, buddy. Yeah, I think you can do a whole even cheaper than that for OEM if you get it through a dealer. In the States, anyway. So that's for Jeff. Let's do the other one. This is for gas. So let's put that together, and then we'll look at the splitter real quick. Because Tom, that's very relevant. So Jeff, thank you very much again. Appreciate the patronage. In case anybody doesn't know, I run the channel, and I don't ask for donations. I want people to, you know, get something physical for what they support me with. So this is like the best way to support the channel is to purchase a toolkit. So no, but Jeff, you're gonna have, when you try this. Well, Tom, you tell him. Tom, when you first used the kit, Tom wasn't convinced. when you first use the kit and you see how smooth and easy it is, you're gonna giggle. It's like a guarantee. Especially if you've done it the other ways before. If you've ever done it a different way before, you're just gonna giggle the first time you use this kit. It's like a guarantee. And you're gonna wonder, as I did, you're gonna wonder and say, wait a minute, how in the world did Husky or Steel not come up with this? That's one thing that I wondered. I was sitting there like, how in the world did these big companies not come up with something so simple? Hey, Boneyard. Nikki, what'd you bust again? Nikki's always breaking things. Matt, serious question. Be patient while I type. Okay. Hang on. Got the 266. Oh boy, what a disappointment. Tank junk, no covers, anti-vibe junk, top of you. One Phillips head screw holding the cylinder. Good. And its C is now chewed up as well. Okay, so basically the whole thing's junk. That's terrible. So pull all the nuts and bolts off of it that you can, and set them aside until you find another project, you know. Okay, this is for Gaston, and Gaston did get the other goodies with this. Jeff, have you done like the hot cold thing before? Have you done rebuilds where you do like the hot cold thing and whatnot? Hey, Brandon. Who really can't be bothered? I'm tempted to buy him MS500. No. First build, having too much fun. Yes, I hear you on that. Yeah, if you haven't done it the other way, it's definitely an experience to try to do it hot and cold, put things in the oven, cool things down, heat things up, all that jazz. It's definitely an experience to do that. And I did that for a number of builds, and I started thinking, that's what got me thinking about this, was like, how can I do this better, you know? I was thinking, geez, how can I do this better? Right, the 576 series does not have good aftermarket support. Probably the 576 is probably not a bad size. Just, I don't know, something about it. I don't have need for it, you know. 372, 394, 350s got me covered for pretty much everything that I need. There's your 3-saw plan there, you know. It's the cost, it's the electronics. I like being able to tune things. The technology's cool, but it's not for me, you know. If you like steel and you like cool new technology and you're a tree guy that has to have something that just runs, you don't have to fiddle with it, get a 500i. Why not? You know? $2,200. Yeah. So the cost is indeed significant. Definitely something can't be overlooked. Okay, so this is a 661 rod. So this side actually does steel 661. This is M13, so it's an oddball size, as opposed to M10, M12, M14. The other thing that this rod does, actually, is the old Husky 61 and 266, I think. It's got the half-inch UNC left-handed thread right there. And these are all thread milled. Tinman, what's going on, man? And you're right. You're exactly right. They don't care what I do. I think I've sold just over 250 kits at this point. I don't know the exact number, but at that kind of numbers, the big companies really don't care. Mainly because the big companies, yeah, at those numbers, I mean, the big companies aren't interested in rebuilding saws. They really just want to sell new saws. They're not in the parts business. So you're exactly right on that, Andy. Yeah. And James, Matt, will the main kit cover most steels? Yes. So if you're doing like everything from an 026 to a 660, unless you're doing 880s, which I have something for, I'll be right back. So we needed the 576 also. Hang on a second. Where are my 576 rods? The 372s we don't have anymore. M14. Those are 242. Which one? Okay, no. Hang on, they're over there. Guys, don't ask me why I keep this stuff in a completely different part of the basement. It doesn't make any sense. But it just happens to be over here. For some dumb reason, these other rods are eluding me. Don't know where my 576 rods are off the cuff here. They're in the basement. They're not utterly lost. They're not here. Right to my fingertips for some stupid reason. Okay. So here is an 880 sleeve. So the large sleeve is not big enough for the 880. So if you're doing steels, you need an 880 sleeve. Night, Boneyard. Timon, check out my video from yesterday. We were screwing around with that with a 372 with a Huzzle cylinder head, and I'll tell you what, it's all poor. I mean, there's a lot of effort that went into it. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of effort that went into that head to see if I could get it to run. But holy smokes, is it? It's probably the most potent 372 I've ever run, and I've run a lot of them. It really, I haven't stuck it. I did stick it in wood, but not much, just a little bit. And I'll tell you what, I don't know whether it's going to last or not. You know, how many, at 14,000 RPM, I don't know if that aftermarket head's going to last for beans, but I'll tell you, holy cow, is it potent. Oh, wait a minute, the 576 is right here. Haha. Here's a pretty thing. So here's 576 rods. These are thread milled also. I ran it, Landon Henry. Nice, have fun with that. I ran it yesterday, and it started beautiful. It ran beautiful. Just exactly what you would expect, you know. And it sounds so incredibly crisp. Just goes right up to full RPM and sits. Just gorgeous. Mike Batto, are you still on? Are you still kicking? Where the devil did my measuring stick go? Where's my caliper? Landon, I just saw you comment. I thought you were talking to me. Are you talking to me? Maybe you're not talking to me? I don't know. And you're welcome to talk to me, by the way. The issue I have with these, the 880 sleeves, oh, the splitting tool, right? The issue I have with the 880 sleeves, I'm trying to make more. I know I have some originals that I had another guy make for me, but I want to check the spec on them. And I think my calipers have disappeared. That's okay. Gaston, I will get this figured and make sure it's all it's all packaged up nicely for you so that you have a proper 880 sleeve, a 576 rod, your other rods, the 661 rod, good to go. James, I've been working on subs for years. I know a lot until I started watching your video, especially about pressure and vacuum testing. I hate pressure and vacuum testing. I really do. I can't stand it. But it in a lot of instances, I think it makes sense. Hey, Roadrunner. And James, to James Peterson, you know, every time I think that I've got some kind of a handle on what I'm doing, like I think I've got it now, you know, then the damn saws throw me another curveball. It's really crazy. I'm going to put everything in here that I know is going to be okay. Coffee's right here, James. Way ahead of you. Yeah, everything. Every time I start thinking, "Hey, I'm doing pretty good," no, I always get a curveball. So yeah, I gotta measure the 880 sleeve before it goes out officially for gas and stuff. Right, Mike. Mike, can you measure your 880 sleeve and see, or can you tell me what the diameter is that this needs to fit over? Is it 21 millimeters? Is it 20? Is it 20 millimeters? 20 millimeters? I forget how big. Measure the outer diameter of the crank or whatever on an 880 if you got one. Because I just made this one myself the other day as opposed to having Kelby do it. And I used a 27/32 drill to go in here and create the inner diameter. And I'm not sure if it's big enough. So, Mike, can you get on that for me? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Batto is the guy that was like, "Hey, Matt, your kit doesn't work on an 880." I'm like, "What?" And it's because the 880 has a particularly big PTO side bearing. Tom's right. I'm a splitter. So here's the splitter that I use. So this is the aftermarket C-clamp Husky style splitter. And this is just 5/8 threaded rod with a nut welded on. Yeah, the same. Yeah, a lot of guys use a splitter. I do. I like it, but I increase the strength with this rod. This is regular 5/8 inch all thread or threaded rod that I welded a nut on the end, and it's significantly bigger in diameter than the piece that was in here. All you have to do is just tap it to 5/8 all thread, and then use the bigger threaded rod, and then this just doesn't bend. James, no, it is not for installing seals. You can tap seals down with the sleeves, but I would not do that. You want the seals to be out when you use this kit. Mainly because I don't think you should be doing two things at once. If you're trying to pull a crank through the bearing, pull the crank through the bearing. Don't try to pull the crank through the bearing and the seal at the same time. I think that's just destined for disaster. It's not that you can't do it. It's not that people don't do it. It's just that if you're trying to do two things at once, something invariably can get messed up. So what often happens is if you're pulling the crank through the bearing and the seal, then the pressure, I'll use a bearing as an example, and a sleeve here. The sleeve only puts pressure on the inner race of the bearing. So you're pulling the crank through the inner race, which means that there is no lateral force then on the bearing. You cannot hurt the bearing in that case. If you have a seal in here of some kind, with the only exception of the Husky OEM. So this is a Husky OEM bearing. If you have this seal installed there, you're still only putting pressure on the inner race. But with that's the rare exception to the rule. If you have pretty much any other crank, bearing, and seal set up, and you try to do two things at once, you're pulling the crank through the bearing and the seal, and you're going to be putting pressure on the outer race, which means then you have lateral forces on the bearing, which may or may not be damaging. But if there's any chance of that, why would you take the chance? Hey, Tractor Man. Jeff, I use highway seals most of the time. Men can't mount, so I pull seals, then split the bottom end. Fine. When you're splitting, I don't know if it makes as much difference, but when you're assembling stuff, you're trying to pull the crank through, then that can be an issue. This case splitter will not work on a stuffed crankcase. So if you are working with crank stuffers, this doesn't work. But I don't sell this. You have to buy this on your own. There's no point in me selling splitters, you know. And frankly, I don't think there's that much point in owning saws with stuffers, but that's a different 20.12 millimeters insides. Okay, so it's a 20 millimeter crank. Okay, so if I have 21.5 on here, that'll be fine. 22, 21.5, anywhere there will be plenty of space to go over a 20 millimeter crank. Guys, give me a minute. Let me go find my calipers. I think they're upstairs. If I can find them, that'd be really good, and then I can send this off here. I know where my calipers are. They're in the office. I have to go in the office and get my calipers. Be right back. Uh-oh, Mike's calling. Hang on. Thanks, Jeff. Have a good one. Mike? Oh, crud. Hang on a second. Mike's calling. What did I miss? I have a terrible signal down here. Hey. I've got a terrible signal down here. I've got a terrible signal down here. If the stock crank diameter is 20, and I can't hear you, Mike. Terrible signal. Perfect, that's fine. And Mike, you're a little behind in the YouTube here. Yeah, Mike hit. Mike, you are behind. Hit the Mike, you want to hit live or whatever. Make sure that you're watching me actually live. You have too much of a delay going on. New tractor today, Pat? That's cool. Jeffrey, take care. Thanks for coming. Matt, 562, good stuffer, so I hate to say it. I don't see. I understand if everybody likes 562s. That's great. Not my cup of tea. I want something, ideally, for my saws, I like bottom ends with bearings that are the same on both sides, preferentially. So, like a 394 is perfect. And seals that are the same on both sides, preferentially. I like a carburetor that I can tune myself. Um, Preferably something that I can mess with the cylinder head. Husky 372 more or less covers that. The only exception there is the seal is a little wonky on the PTO side, but it's the same bearings both sides. Husky 394 fills that bill. Husky 350 and fills the bill. 346 XP sort of does, except for the PTO side's bearing and seal, which is proprietary. But for a 346, you kind of make a little bit of an exception. Anyway, again, it's just my preference. It's just my thing. And I can split them. I can have the piston in my hand in a couple of minutes on all those saws. I can split them easily and put them back together easily. The parts are available, no problem. A 572, you actually need specialized tools to take it apart and put it back together and all that stuff, which Walt has gone over extensively on his channel. But I just I don't, with all the aftermarket support that we do have and are going to have, I don't see the point to me having 562s, 572s, 500i's, all that. I don't need it. You know, the only way I would work on one of those is to help you guys out. If fiddling around with one would actually help you guys. I've run a 562. I've run Dolmar 166s. Lee has a Dolmar 166 that's like bored and poured in, and it was beautiful. But I don't. There are all kinds of different saws that I've run, and I've still come back to 394s, 372s, and Husky 350s. And what's great about saws? Guess what? There's a saw for pretty much everybody. Whatever you like, it's out there. And now, which is just one of the most amazing things ever, now we have chainsaws in kit form. Yes, they're Chinese, and you could argue that, all over the place, but never before in the history of the planet have we had chainsaws in a kit. And so everybody's doing this stuff and having a great time and hopefully learning like crazy. Like James Peterson said, it's like you work on this stuff for years sometimes and you still run into issues. Well, guess what? It's all about learning. It's all about having fun. So I hope I can give you guys some ambition to move forward on projects you might not have moved forward on before, and maybe to look at things a little bit differently. And and Tinman makes a fine point. Some of these other saws are great. Right, Tom wants a 500i. That's wonderful. Not my cup of tea. Whatever. Gonna sell it? Yeah, I've got plenty of saws like that too. Like, oh shoot, I'm gonna sell this. Nope, that hasn't sold. Okay, so this should indeed work. I'm gonna package this up for Gaston. Make sure that he's good on that. And then we'll move on to the 272, because we got to finish up the 272. There's a piece of something here. Just wanted to get this good and package up for Gaston. Perfect. Okay. This is good. And where did I just put gas and stuff? Here. Okay. Good to go there. Uh-oh, I have a little guy calling. My wife is out for the evening, so apparently I got a little guy calling. Let me go take care of that for 2 seconds. But Gaston, this is your kit, ready to rock right here. Still to the bed. We're all flush with saws. It would be nice if everybody was flush with saws. I would be fine with that. Alright, now I've got all that stuff out of the way. This is M14. That's an 880 sleeve that goes up here. Yeah, 20 millimeter, 21. Yeah, it's going to be fine. What's the orange saw on the floor? Over here? This is my buddy's 350. Just need a chain for that before I, just to test it out. We don't need the hammer tonight. Alright, so we've got, this is a 272, or it was it a 61? Used to be a 61, I think. Now it's a 272. Brand new top end, fuel line and filter. This is an OEM top end. Brand new seals. New O-ring. If anybody wants it, let me know. Take care, Andy. Have a great night. James, you have been sitting in the corner watching for a while now. I'm starting to do things. So as I never thought they'd be done, in your opinion? The best aftermarket cylinder and piston kits. I guess it depends on the saw you're using it for. Like, for some, I like OEM kits. For some, I like aftermarket kits, especially if you're trying to, figure out a saw and make sure the seals are good and all that other stuff. Sometimes it's nice just to throw the cheapest one on. I've used a lot of highway kits. What saw are you looking to put it on, James? You know the term for the all impact screwdriver that you flick with a hammer? Oh, cool. That would be interesting. The other saw on the floor, that's a 350 down there. That's my buddy's 350, which I built for him and I've recently tuned up. I just needs a chain. This is the 372. Oh, it's 272. Excuse me, 272. The 272 is another saw that really kind of fills the bill because it's got the same seal on both sides, and it's got the same bearings on both sides. 6202s. Now, for the head size, the 6202 is probably a little bit of a small bearing. So we need to take and get this saw kind of ship shape. You know what I mean? So what I want to do is I want to put the muffler on. You guys are going to laugh when you see the muffler. If you're doing an OEM build, do an OEM build. If you're not doing an OEM build, who cares? So I mix and match parts all the time, depending on what I like. So there's an opening. You like that? It's going to go on here. Gasket, need the, there's an adapter that goes on here too. Favorite steel? If I'm picking steels that I like, probably the 200T. I'm kind of familiar with the 200Ts at this point. Don't mind working on them. For me, they're pretty straightforward. I've got all kind of parts here. I'm going to put a new switch on this. Yeah, we'll put a new OEM switch on this just to do that. Best cylinder piston for a steel, probably an OEM. Brandon, I know you got that 661 and you keep looking for parts that are a little bit less expensive, but you got an expensive saw there, man. And I know you hate it when I say stuff like that, but that's the truth. Alright, where's my adapters? Because I know I've got adapters here that I just bought. The problem with I don't have everything prepared, you know. So if anybody wants this saw, I will gladly give it with an OEM muffler too. If they really want the OEM muff, it's fine. It's a doggone fun though to have these sound like a Harley. Just amazing. They sound so good when you open up the muffler. Where's the other? There it is. An exhaust bolt. Okay. So there's no shield on these. Yeah, I like the highway seal stock. Yeah. The highway seals I think tend to be just fine. I really like the highway seal kits in general. I think if you're rebuilding, like if you're doing one of the Steel 660 Chinese 660 kits, most definitely get a highway seal kit and start with that. Right, which means you have to have the saw in your hand. It's very personal, Tom. Having a consensus of there's probably tens of thousands of people that like steel and tens of thousands of people that like Husky. So how are you going to get a consensus on that? You know what I mean? I put a little red Loctite on here. You know what? I'm not going to Loctite this at this point because I might be taking this off later. Yeah, it's funny. And then you have like these saws that like turn you around, and the 372 tends to be one of those. You start saying, oh shoot, I've got to pay attention to this a little more. This whole Husky thing. And you have saws that completely turn you off to the brand too. So for me, that was the Steel MS290, the Farm Boss. I'm not going to cinch this up too tight. I want it just cinched. Then I can take my adapter here. Pull that out. This just loosen. Now, I don't like, this is definitely a thing I don't like. I don't like the dog being attached to the case bolts. That's just something that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Never really has. I don't think it's a good design in that respect. So there's certain aspects of the design that make a whole lot of sense. There's certain aspects that make no sense. I want a couple of short flange bolts. Yeah. That I can make. Hold up the muffler here. So I don't tighten any of this stuff down until it's all in and like sort of tight, you know? That's not M4, that's M3. Okay, all those are kind of tight. I'll take and get the muff nice and tight on here. One. One. Two. So those are tight. That's good. Definitely some stuff here that you need to double check the tightness on, you know. Okay. So now we got stuff in here to work on. Let's do that. Washer, then your oiler pinion. That works fine. That goes there. And then that, I think. Do I have that right, guys? Is this greasable? That's greasable. Hit that with a grease pen. Hey, Jeep. Getting a new crank. Using parts off Amazon. New crank top and bearing seals, oiler, everything. Okay. Go crazy. There. That goes down. You know what? You look at this and you say, you know what? That's kind of blue. Kind of loosey-goosey. I don't like that. Wrong clutch. It's a 394 clutch. It's a bit heavy. No. It might fit. But we won't worry about that right now. Gotta put that up in the woods here. Shed. And here we go. Here's a highway clutch. Nice. And you can hit that with the impact if you want, just to make darn sure it's good, but whatever. Okay. So that's pretty well settled on that side. We got to work on here. We got a nice new line here. This is all nice and cleaned up. What we do need over here is a fresh new starter. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, let's put a new switch in here. This one probably works fine, but the tip is busted off. So I don't like that. If you're doing a nice build, do a nice build, you know? Spend the money. See, normally I can just reach in the side here and push it over. I may not be able to do that for this one. There we go. I came from underneath here and it just pops. But I know. That's going in the bin. Somewhere. Wilmington Ditch Divers. You have some very good videos. Thank you. You're very welcome. Come join us. comment, heckle, bin it, more junk. Poor Nikki. He's always so pissed at me when I throw stuff in the can. Click. There we go. More heckling. James, where's Megan tonight? He commented, I was on yesterday for those that I was on it yesterday for 4 hours straight working on that 372, and golly does that thing run. But Megan commented he was so pissed that he missed the whole stream. It probably works. It was just the tip was busted off. Oh well. All right. Now we got to work on a starter. Poor Megan was sleeping. So I got a treat for you guys. Check this out. Brand new OEM cover. Narrow instead of the big one. So this one will be our donor. As it turns out, there's nothing really wrong with this one. It's actually pretty well intact. It's just rough. So, yeah. Don't worry, Nikki. I'm not putting this one in the can. So let the spring out of the spring here. No, I'm gonna need a bigger one for that. I need the bigger screwdriver for this guy. No. Yes. Did I get it? I got it. Okay. Okay, good. Nice. I'm going to cheat a little on the spring here. You're going to like this. Okay. I really don't like that handle. I don't know. I don't understand that handle. I just don't. So we're going to do goodbye on that. I've been that too. Old cord. Also no good. But this plastic shroud it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit. Shucks. Well, you know what we're going to do then? Plan B. Always a plan B. It's a good thing we have plan B. There's our plan B. This is like a, I don't know, it's a funky kind of a cover. But the plan B is to pull this one. James, take care. I appreciate you coming in, buddy. Thanks much. I don't think my wife is watching at this point. She might have commented. And if she watches, then I can always have James hit the button. Shh. Right, like just like that. Oops. All right, let the spring out of the spring here. Same deal. This is M4, which I like better anyway. Or not M4, but 4mm. Okay. You know, that's old, but it's probably fine. I need to put new line in it, but in case anybody's wondering, yes, eventually my bench does get cleaner when I'm done. So this part is the part that I actually need. I think I'm going to cheat on the spring. I think. Because I don't really want to be here all night. So Highway makes springs. They're relatively inexpensive, and they come nicely packaged. Push it in. Looks like it should be good. And pull, use my circlip pliers here. With that pushed down, grab this, and pull up. Oh. Ah. Crap. All right, let's see. Hang on. Nobody get too excitable. Let's see if I can do this. very quickly. Where's my hemostats? Give it back in less than a minute. Nikki, I would dearly love it and appreciate it if you did that. This thing is sharp too. Almost. There's got to be a tool I can use. Think of what kind of tool can I use to get in there and tighten my fingers. It's almost tucked in, actually. We're probably pretty good here. There, it's tucked. Okay. I've done those springs so many stinking times and have. That's like the easiest I've ever done with a spring. Let's get some line here. I hate scraping knuckles. Hate scraping knuckles. Oh yeah, fancy. This is the blue stuff. Sten's True Blue Heavy Duty Commercial Starter Rope, made in Germany. I think I got it at HL Supply. You can never tell when Matt sees the comments. Yeah, you're right. One, two. There you go. And coming out. Now. That'll be perfect, actually. Good length. Oh, God. Now I can stick the centerpiece back on here, wherever that went. Here it is. A little too tight. Hey, Alan. Am I keeping this on? I don't know. How much are you offering for it? One more turn around to get it so it's going to retract and not bind up. Okay. So now what I do, take and hold it there, and let me get a nicer handle, you know. I got a few of these. So the thing about these handles is they don't quite fit in here, but it doesn't matter because they feel much better. These are actually the 455 Rancher style handle, and it feels better. two. I just go for it twice, basically. Fold it over on itself. And those don't tend to come out. There you go. Custom. Leonard's here. Oh, Leonard. Happy New Year. Fantastic. Stanley Brand, how are you? Found you working with Starter Spring. Yeah, you see, yeah, I know. I'm not bleeding right now. It's good. Right. The thing about this cover, as opposed to some of the others, some of the other covers don't have they have captured bolts. This one does not use captured bolts, so I need to use the OEM fully threaded ones, which I happen to have 4 brand new ones of. So for any of you guys that think that this project is cheap, it is not. Because these stupid bolts by themselves are not cheap, you know? $10 says this is the wrong stinking starter for this. Too long. About 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, Nikki, it's what I'm thinking. It's certainly what I'm thinking about doing. Hack it back. Right now it touches. Yeah, maybe about like an eighth of an inch, you know? I can see the marks. All right, I guess I'm getting out the Dremel. Great. This was not the plan for the night. All right, let's clean up this stuff before I go completely insane. All right, this will go into the ultrasonic. This will go into the ultrasonic too. And the wife says she's okay. That's good. And let me go make sure the kids are wandering into bed. They're probably not, but I'll be right back, guys, okay? Give me just a couple minutes. And I got to figure out how to grind on this darn thing to get it to be good. We're going to throw these in the ultrasonic, too. Yeah, I'm going to use the cutoff wheel. Is a new spring wider? Spring? No, it's not the spring that's the issue. It's the... this is too sticking out. It's protruding too far. By like 1/8 of an inch, if not more. Naked brainstorm. So yeah, I'll be back. Give me just a minute. All right. I don't want to hack too much off of this. More coffee, anybody? Don't want to hack too much off of this. I definitely want to do some. This goes in my parts bin. This goes in my parts bin. Sorry, I'm not watching comments. Hang on. Coming back here. Coffee. Yep. I had to go brainstorm user adjusted. A bit of clutch rattle. Ding, 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 ding. I know. Big, don't need that right now. Don't need this right now. Didn't need that anyway. Alright, great. That now. How come this keeps shutting off? Alan, you could always send me a box of parts. I know. I don't need any more parts. I get it. Just get this oldie here into a bag and into the bin. I did. Perfect bag. That. Okay, there's my cutoff wheel. For the Dremel. According to the world supply on Husky parts. Maybe. I think Walt has the most. Maybe. I think Walt has a lot of stuff. He probably has barns full, that guy. Brandon, I had a fine Christmas. I mean, it was quiet because unfortunately my wife and kids were all sick. So I tried to avoid everybody by not getting sick. I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch off and see if that helps. Okay. That's half. Get the other half. Here. I knew my hemostat went somewhere. Nikki, it's a good thing you got that thing for free. For free. That's for sure. Thing is, with free ends up being even too expensive because you get committed to doing other things, you know? If free commits you to spending $300, then it wasn't free. We're almost there. Ah, I hit them an inch away. Question is, are these now deep enough? Do I need to deepen that a little bit? I don't know. Question is it still binding, and by how much? Some magic marker on the flywheel, and if it scratches it all up, then we know it's still binding. Blue Dicom works fine too. Ha! Now I'm missing it entirely. The heck? Oh, I see. It's finally sitting down. But it may not be if it's actually, yeah, okay, I see, hang on. Is it hitting the diagam? Or the, not so much. Alright, so these lands need to be slightly deeper and then it will grab. Slightly. Right, then you look for the witness mark. Yep, that's what I'm doing. That might work. Yeah, though these lands were not quite deep enough, so these were just sliding on the top as opposed to grabbing. Or they were sliding on this part as opposed to grabbing. Feels like it might work. Put a couple of screws in here and see. Give her a pull. Ta-da! Yeah, I'd like to learn porting someday. Pat, just go back and watch my videos, man. I have to sit there for a long time, sorry, but it'll at least give you a start. I am by no means a professional porter. By no means. But it'll give you an idea of what you might be looking for, you know? Thanks, Nikki. Grabs every time. Could potentially even go a slight bit deeper, but it's not hitting the flywheel now, so... I don't even know, remember if I did the WD-40 coating thing, so let's do that now. I'm not a pro porter. I don't do this for a living. You know, I don't. I did just bang out a 372 that would take just about any other down, but at least I think so. But I'm not a pro. I'm just not. Right, the 266s you know you might not want to convert that over to a 272 because 266 is fine sawing it outright. The 61s are good with the single ignition. You don't want the double ignition, but the single ignition 61s you can convert those all day long and have a pretty sweet saw. Oh, Denman, I have an idea why it runs so good, but it doesn't make me a pro. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make me a pro. Well, I appreciate the votes of confidence, guys. And I try. There's no question. I try to build nice stuff. There are plenty of guys that came before me, and really my objective is not to be the most amazing porter or whatever. I just want to build some nice saws and hopefully kind of demystify this for people and give some people some ambition, you know. Having some ambition to go and do stuff is sometimes a lot harder to come by than money. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit and leave this gasket on here. Thanks, Stanley. I don't mind using a new gasket. That's not the issue. The issue is, I'm not trying to be cheap. The issue is that gasket is probably fine. As long as I can get this surface degreased. Okay, sorry. I don't know what we missed. I'm turning in this into the super cool and super rare high top setup. And if somebody's interested in it, they are welcome to pay me good money for it. You know? Because you can't get it. Are we buffering? Are we good? We're good? Yeah, we're good. Okay. I'm going to put a new gasket on here. Are we actually back? Are we good? We're good? We're good. Okay. This will indeed be the most slickest of slick setups. I do have this piece here, I think. Not there. Right here. It might pop. It just might. Click that in. Tuck that under. Nice part about fresh rubber is it's fresh rubber. And it's a little bit pliable. There we go. That looks nice. Ta-da! All right. This little piece goes over that. There should be a specific tiny little screw to go there. We have to find one. Dinner's done. Why am I staying up this late? I don't know. I need to go to bed. I know. It's gotta pop. I get it. The filter in an appropriate spot? Yep, that's fine. Okay, so I can shorten this appropriately. Gas line. Now it's just a matter of like the silliness here, just throwing her back together. Got to make sure the clutch is tight here before I start it and it goes flying, which they tend to do. Okay. One thing that this doesn't come with, this is cool, huh? Look at this. West Coast filter. The one thing it don't come with is that dang clamp that's supposed to go on there. So I need to find a clamp for that. That's not that big of a deal. It would pop if I had a spark plug. I didn't even know if I have a spark plug down here. How terrible is that? All right, we'll look for a plug in a minute. Let's get the top handle on. I really haven't built many on this chassis. Not lots. Built a few, but not lots of this chassis. And this is I think this is a highway handle, which I tend to like. Fresh, new, clean highway handles, always nice. But if it's not bent exactly right, it does get a little wonky. It's always nice having a fresh handle. Very, very nice. I guess at this point I can get a compression number. Certainly do that. Let me see a spark plug. I don't know. Maybe I got one hanging around. We'll see. Let's get a compression number. Jonathan Courtney, welcome. Matt, you may have a buyer. Wait a minute. What? Jonathan Courtney, you want it? Really? Lost one. You're not lost. Welcome. Oh yeah. Remember, this is not ported, but this is a brand new OEM head that I optimized the squish on. That's with the decomp in, that's about 120. Ooh. And we have a clean 150. The pros around here don't impress me. This is a squish optimized build, not a pro build. Just want to be clear about that. Or not a ported build. Oh, that'll work. Look at that. That clamp will work. Just happen to have that clamp sitting around. Now this is the aftermarket 272 high top. I don't think that's moving. Nice. Okay. Let's see if I have a plug here somewhere. To be honest, if I do, it's just insane luck. Because I've got a whole pile of them out in the shed. They're just not in here. See it. That sucks. I'm sorry, guys. And the thing is, like, even if I go out and get a plug now, which I could do, wake the kids, which isn't preferable. Ooh. Here's a plate. That'll work. I can't believe I don't have a spark plug in here. I know, Nikki's going to yell at me. I've binned them all the old ones. Probably toss them all in the trash. Oh, you know what? My buddy saw it right here, the 350. What am I thinking? All right, we'll wake the kids. It's okay. Just don't tell the wife. I'll tell you guys what, this saw is not going to be cheap. And I'm going to show you why in just a second, because I've got another surprise for you. Okay. Smoke on 5 poles. Matt has 9,000 pounds of husk, no plugs. So, just to go over some costs here in just parts. The head alone on sale was $140. So there's that. New top handle, new OEM starter cover, which had to obviously be modified. New rubber fuel line, new filter, new aftermarket air filter, this OEM rubber piece, new OEM carburetor, Tillotson carburetor, an aftermarket muffler here that's been MIG welded. The oiler's been reattached, so we have all that scooped up and everything in there. New seals, new bearings. It's a highway clutch. I have an OEM one if you want it. And we didn't even get to our unboxing today. I have a brand new OEM clutch cover here. This by itself is like $80 just for that. Ray, always a fan of your work. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know, Tinman, as I'm talking, that's probably about right. And just to add another surprise, we have to. You want to hear it pop? Everyone wants to hear it pop. Let's pop it first, and then I'm going to show you because I got even one more surprise for you on this, just to make it as nice as it possibly can be. Let's see. I got enough. I do have enough fuel. Look at this. Yeah, OEM chain brake. Okay. No oil in it. Oh God. Hang on. All right. Let's turn it on. Set the choke. Set the high idle. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There it did it. Sick. Jeffrey, you made it back. Yeah. So, here, let's do this just to show you We're going to take it to the next level, okay? Hang on, guys. Don't get too excited. Grace, now I'm in a pile of smoke down here. Ugh. Okay. I have here the unboxing, which we were supposed to do earlier. Didn't do. This is from HL Supply. Because we're going to have more fun with that 660. Oh, yes. What is that? Okay. So this is a Highway 660 handle. So when Mason gets here, I'm going to hand him that and put it back on the 660. But if we really want to take something to the next level, this is it. How's that? Brand new OEM 272 cover. Again, this by itself, $75-$80. So is anybody doing the math on this? Perfect. Here's the... Now it's $675. I'd have $700, you think? Put a deflector under the top cover? What are you talking about, Pat? Oh, put a piece of foil under there? Don't talk about too much other price. You know, the muffler's binding on the top cover a little bit. So I may have to grind a little bit off the muffler, but that's not that big a deal. And I think there's probably a little rubber piece that goes on here on the head, which I need to find. But yeah, that's... how does it get much better than that, you know? Yeah, I've got some aluminum tape. That goes there. Where's the aluminum clutch cup? No, it's not a matter of the tall muffler or the short muffler. It's a matter of me adding this part, and it's binding there. Oh, hang on. That'll go on. couple of bar nuts here. I should hit that with the die just to make sure the bar nuts are nice and smooth. So it's not perfect. It's not a Concord build. The rubber snubber. Yeah, I guess this draws air in or something. This is a little funny. You're talking about like the rubber piece that goes under here? There's a rubber piece there's a thing that goes into a rubber piece. Yeah, the rubber piece is in there. But this is basically as neat and complete as you're going to get for a rebuilt saw. A 272 anyway. I don't really know where to set the price because initially I was thinking 5, but basically now after I bought all the OEM stuff for it, all this fresh stuff, I gotta imagine that it's up. Jonathan, yeah, I will send you an email. Forgive me, it's late and I need to go to bed. Um, I think Tin Man, I think the easy thing to do on this is just say $700 shipped. But I've got to do a couple of other little things just to make it just right. Jonathan, where are you? In the States. The other thing is like I really want to put it in some wood. I really want to get this saw off to Mason so he can, because Mason's going to play with this and make sure it runs really nice and everything. He can certainly put it, run a couple of tanks through it and make sure it's as good as can be. Maybe pull the muffler and make sure that that's good too. And once all that stuff is done and we kind of work the kinks out of it, then probably $700 shipped is going to be the ticket. Um, it'd be really nice to have something that I know is going to be good. The one that went down, James will tell you, the one that went down to him, which is a 268. Um, his family put 375 tanks through it this year alone. So the design itself is robust, and apparently he still has good compression on the thing, so it's going to keep going. The only thing that they had wrong with it was the carb kind of got a little, you know, buggy because it was clogged for some reason, but they unclogged it and they got it running again and it was fine. Yeah, my brain's shot, to be honest, and I appreciate everybody staying up and hanging out with me for the pop. Um, if this works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's fine. I have all kinds of saws for sale. I just need one day to kind of line them up. And you're in North Carolina, okay. So yeah, probably something like this is probably about $50 to ship it down to you. I gotta see if I can find that silly rubber piece that goes in here. Grind that off. Put a die on the studs here, just to make sure the threads are nice. Get it to Mason, have him run it, and then we'll be off and running. Do a John Riley for sale vid. Yeah, so and this is technically the bigger bore. So this is a OEM 272 top end. Should be real nice. Casey Dunn. I was just gonna go to bed. we've got a 272 here that we just popped. Very exciting. You're right, Nicky. I should do a for sale vid. Yeah, normally cheap ones. Do you sell used parts as well? Yep, I do. Depends on what you need. I like to keep most of my stuff, but I'll sell stuff if need be. So something like this, I'd probably include the OEM muffler for if Jonathan wants it, then I would include the OEM muffler just to so you can have it. You may or may not want the big open thing here. Um, if you're out in the woods, then you might want to put the OEM muffler back on. If you're fiddling around, then put this thing on. This sounds great. Yep, these just sound so good. They're so much fun. I have a lot of fun with mine, and the one that I use, the one that I've slated for myself, is not nearly as nice as this. Anyway, I gotta run. Everybody have a great night. There's my email. Anybody wants to email me, I'm off tomorrow early, so at 2 o'clock I'm done with work. So I may come back on, hang out with you guys, answer emails, all that stuff probably tomorrow. Have a good one, guys. Thanks so much. Be safe. Jonathan, we'll keep in touch. Everybody else, thanks so much for hanging out. I do really appreciate it. This was fun. Enjoy your evening. Thanks to James and Ken for moderating. Bye, guys.